So you guys know this is April, the month of April, and we celebrate different things. But this time we're going to talk about something a little bit serious. This is for April 19th through the 25th. It's National Infertility Week. So we have Kyla here, one part of the Diplomats podcast. She's going to share a little bit of her journey about this month.
Yes. So, hi. I wanted to talk about this week, or talk about infertility, because this is something that I have experienced, and I think it's something that's been pretty silent in the Black community. So, I wanted to just spread some type of awareness about it. I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, in 2017, I think. What that means is I have a difficulty ovulating because I don't have a period. And this is something that I noticed, like, I didn't get a period, and I was very, very, very irregular growing up. But it didn't really cause any concern for me until I wanted to have children. So I went to a doctor, and then they sent me to a fertility specialist to get more testing and stuff done. And that's when I found out that I have PCOS. So I have difficulty ovulating, which in turn causes difficulty trying to have children. So during that, I had to have some, well, my husband and I decided to go through a couple of different things. The first thing we tried was IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, which is less invasive. What it is they give you a lot of hormones. So I had to take some shots and stuff to kind of prime my body and get it ready for pregnancy. And then they took my husband's Yadig and just put it in me to see if I could have.
Technical terms.
I know. I'm sorry. So if you want me to be technical, they inserted his semen inside of me to see if it'll travel to my uterus or through my uterus. That's so true. That I can have a child. Just like that. Exactly like that, actually. And so I did 2 rounds of that, and it was unsuccessful. Well, the first time, actually, the first time resulted in a miscarriage. Then I did it again, and it was unsuccessful. So then after that, I did something more invasive, which is IVF, in vitro fertilization.
What was the time frame from that to the?
Sure. So I think I started IUI. I think my first round was like late April, because it was around Mother's Day of 2017. And then I did another round shortly after that, because they have to like try to get your cycle to come. And then once your cycle comes, then they start you on medication and all of that, so that it can just get your body ready to pretend like because my body does not drop an egg. Mm-hmm. That's why a period comes, like your eggs drop, and then that's when it turns into like the lining and your period and all of that. Well, I don't have any eggs. Like my body is not my brain is not signaling my body to drop any eggs. So my first one was around Mother's Day. I had an early miscarriage, and then the second one was probably around June or July, and then I did another one. So I think I did 3 rounds of IUI, and they were all unsuccessful. They wanted to try another round, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore if, we're testing it and we're seeing that the more often I try to do IUI, which is less invasive, but the more frequent I do that, the less I will get a positive result. Mm-hmm. So then I try IVF. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
So when you are consulting,
don't forget your meat. Keep going.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Are you talking to her? Okay, I was like,
yeah, I gotta take it with me.
All right. When you were consulting the doctors, did they say you are a good candidate for one versus the other? That's why you tried the IUI first versus the IVF, or they say like this is the route that we go, that we do this first before that?
So they did say that I was was a good candidate for IUI because I have a lot of follicles in my ovarian reserve. So with IVF or with
We're in the ghetto.
With PCOS, I don't ovulate, right? So because of that, I have a lot of follicles in my ovarian reserve. So because of that, they wanted to try IUI because I have a lot of follicles. So it's they don't need to go the invasive route initially. Oh, this is real good. Y'all want to see my meats? See my meats. You see it?
Oh. Yeah. Your Lamb of God.
Now behold the Lamb.
Hallelujah. Give a couple more minutes. So I did that a couple of rounds. It was unsuccessful. So then around October, I tried of 2017. We decided to do IVF. And with IVF, it's a lot more invasive. I have to take more hormones, so like a whole bunch of shots that I had to take daily. I had to take a lot of progesterone. I had to take shots in my stomach. I had to take shots in my butt. It was just a lot of shots that I had to have. And of course, go to the doctor like every other day to get blood work. So it's very taxing emotionally. Not just physically because of all the shots that I had to take and all the blood work I had to give, and they had to check my levels and all of that stuff. But it's very taxing emotionally because all of those hormones are just like being floated around in my body, right? So after my follicles had to turn into eggs and get to a certain size for IVF, and then I had to have surgery so that they can remove all of those eggs. And so they removed all of those eggs. I had to go under anesthesia so that they can remove those eggs, and then they put it with my husband's semen so that they can fertilize them. So they did that separately because my body wasn't able to, when they were inseminating the semen in me, it wasn't working. So they had to take the eggs out of my body and then meet it with the sperm so that they can fertilize. So they took like over 30 something eggs from my body the first time they did it. And then they were able to fertilize like 16. And then by the time, 6 days later, they, I think 13 of them turned into embryos. So I had 13 embryos. So that way I was able to freeze some and then they can inseminate some in me. So the first time I did it, where they implanted eggs in me or fertilized embryos in me. I said I want to do 2, so that way we can just do 2, be done. I can give the rest to science so that they can do what they need to do. But instead, like in the interim, we decided to freeze the rest of those embryos just in case. So they implanted 2 in me, and then I ended up getting pregnant with twins. So that was the cool thing about it, was the first time they did it, the first time they did the insemination and they did the embryo retrieval and all of that, like it was just successful. So that was that. After, do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
Do
Go ahead.
Twins? So you elected to do 2. Could you? Is there a maximum that they will medically allow you to do, or are they like, hey, you want to do 3, 4, 5? Like, it's up to you, or do they say it's safer to do a certain number?
So it was already a risk to do 2. Some people do 2 so that maybe at least one would survive or would implant and grow into a fetus. So that's why a lot of people, when I've done my research and talked to people, a lot of them would try doing multiple to see if at least one would stick. I've seen and heard, you've heard of those stories when they've done IVF and wanted all of the fertilized eggs or embryos to be implanted. My fertility specialist, like, they let you know, like, immediately, like, if you try to do multiple births, like, there is a risk. And they don't really condone it. They definitely wouldn't condone 3. So when I told them that I wanted to do 2, I had to fill out extra forms, and they had to let me know of the risk and all of that. And I was like, I understood the risk. I want it anyway. So they did it. I really wasn't expecting both of them to take, but they did. And so I ended up Thanksgiving, like the day after Thanksgiving, I went to the doctor and they found 2 heartbeats. So I was officially pregnant with twins. Unfortunately, later on, my body wasn't able to hold twins. So I ended up miscarrying them at 22 weeks, which was another traumatic story at that. But I really wanted to share this part of my story because a lot of Black women specifically, they don't talk about, let me change that. A lot of Black women are expected, I think, and that comes from even back down to slavery. We're expected to have children. Like, that's something that we can do well, right? But now it's not really talked about with those women that have difficulty achieving pregnancy or achieving a healthy pregnancy. So, and I wanted to share that, and I think I shared it a lot while I was in the journey. I wanted to share it to just let people know and kind of normalize it, because it's not something that we talk about, because it is very private. And it's such a personal and scary journey. But I think the more we try to decrease the stigma that's attached to it and the shame that we have regarding just infertility, I hope to just be that vessel to kind of share that information with other people. Like, it's okay. It is common to go through some type of infertility.